you would write, you hear the way I talk, I would write 4 hours into the script, but I knew better. Anyway, I wrote into the script, and he says, and he said the Irish name. I said, no, it can't be. He's Cuban now. Yeah, he said, well, what should we call him?
Yeah.
I said, Gonzalez. He says, what's your first name? Paco Gonzalez. So my friends, when you see the film, you'll see how Paco Gonzalez was born on that day.
Well, I'm gonna find that film and watch it, because I tell you, I'm so curious to see that.
It's just me, Raquel Welch, and Sinatra.
Wow, and Raquel Welch was just a young lady at the time.
Oh, she was gorgeous.
And she was beautiful, right?
Something I gotta tell you, when I went to film that, they said, they're filming at Gillies, come to Gillies, and Gordon Douglas will give you some information. So I go to Gillies, and if you're in the business, you know, if they're shooting at the time you walk in, you take your shoes off, you know, so they don't hear you clop, clop, you know.
Right.
Which I did. And so I walk up and Gordon says, hey, Ray, you know, and he's giving me some instructions, stuff like that. And a hand reaches out to me, which I thought was a fellow actor, and I'm shaking the hand while I'm talking to Gordon, the director. And I turn and look into the bluest eyes
Wow.
I have ever seen. It's Sinatra.
Wow.
And he said 2 words which I will never forget: welcome aboard. And I was like, you know the Jackie Gleason shtick where he goes, hum.
Right.
That was me.
That's how you felt. So did you get to talk to Frank at one point?
Very.
Any conversation?
Not really a conversation.
Yeah.
No, he's business strictly.
Yeah.
And somebody said, you ought to go to Gillies. I said, no, 2 a.m.
That's when they hung out at that time. It was an after hours.
Right.
Yeah, it was like one of those speakeasies, right?
Mm.
Very much so.
It's on 79th Street, I think.
It was on 79th Street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a hangout for those.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting because at 79th Street, you know, New York, there's still some unusual clubs there.
Oh, really?
And now at this moment, because a lot of the Italians still live in that neighborhood, and they still have after hours places. I've never been to one, but that's what I heard. 79th Street is still jumping.
Yeah.
You know. Well, that's an incredible. That must have been one of the most amazing, exhilarating experiences in your life, right?
Yeah, it was definitely.
You know, now we're getting to the videos, right? The Buena Vida, and
local, in Spanish.
In Spanish, that's right, and the whole story that they did about you, and this just happened, right? I mean, when did that happen?
It was a few years ago. I have this all in my computer somewhere, but I don't have the date. And she's excellent, Doctora, I think Maritza Fuentes, I think her name is, and excellent. She was really nice. So it was a nice chunk, and my Spanish was still, I was still able to talk, but
yeah.
Oh, I remember my high school Spanish teacher.
You remember?
With love. I went to her funeral.
Oh, wow.
I was so fortunate to be part of Miami Beach Senior High in those days. So, in fact, they inducted me into the Hall of Fame.
Oh my God.
At Miami Beach Senior High School.
Wow.
Which I'm honored with some company there, like Andy Garcia went there, and
Andy studied in that school.
Yeah, and he was inducted into it too, and Barbara Walters, I think.
Oh my God, Barbara Walters.
Yeah, she went to high school there too, and Robert Rubin, does that ring a bell?
Yes, he does.
Secretary, I think, of the Treasury during Clinton.
Wow.
Went to Miami Beach Senior High.
Well, Ray, I have to ask you, because this is the question of life. what do you owe longevity? Because is it a sense of humor, or is it the attitude? Is it just being in the moment? How does one explain that? I mean,
I don't know. You know, in past years, I used to listen to people who are way in. They say whatever they did. You know.
Right.
Well, the first thing you got to do is pick the right parents.
Well, that's one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, of
And
course.
I remember one guy saying, "You have to walk only on the grass." And they asked him why. He says, "So when you fall, you don't break anything." So, you know, this is the wisdom.
I thought you were going to say, because, you know, people say that when you walk on the grass, you're in contact with nature. And, no, that's so you won't fall.
But I heard people say, you know, one guy said, "I smoke 10 cigars a day."
Yeah.
You know, another guy, Jack Daniels. My voice is going. I don't know. I did yoga for many years.
You did yoga?
Oh, yeah.
Did you do meditation as well?
I meditate. I've been doing meditation for centuries.
Yes, I've been
Twice a day. I
meditating.
still do.
I do it
meditation.
every point.
I have a once a week guru.
You do?
Well, I've known him since he was a kid, and he's a really acclaimed. What's Sensei Tetsudo, the top of the line. A wonderful guy is Sean Murphy, who's working on his 4th book. He's in Taos, New Mexico. So I've been thinking a lot about that lately, and I think 2 things I would say are important, at least in my life. One, music, and the other, humor. I think that sums it up. Fortunately, I was a professional musician, but music in everybody's life is important, and I just marvel at the ability of musicians. And you, with your record, I went to Wikipedia and went in Sammy Figueroa. And I found out your first name is not Sammy. I'm not going to say what it is unless you approve. But, and I scrolled down and scrolled down. You're a leader and co-leader, and scroll down and scroll down. I'm not kidding, folks. You got to do it. This was a man not only of great talent, but of great humanity.
Thank you so much.
No, and it shows in your music. It does. You reach out, not only with your music, you reach out to people all the time.
Thank you. I love music with a passion, you know.
And the humor end of it, you know, so I was fortunate to be a professional humorist and stand-up. But humor also in one's life, I think, is important.
Yes, it is. Yes, I totally agree. I used to work in Saturday Night Live, SNL, for many years in the early 70s.
Oh, really?
And I was there for years with the band. I played with the band, and so we accompanied all the great artists, and I was really close friends with John Belushi and those guys. And,
Belushi.
And Chevy Chase and
Belushi.
Lorraine Curtin.
That samurai cook.
Oh, yeah. So John and I became very close friends.
Oh.
And he was over the top all the time on a constant basis. So it was a little complicated to hang out with John, you know, because he was always over the top. You know, he you know,
what a talent.
Yeah, but he was so talented and so naturally talented, and he would call me at home 3, 4, 5 times a day, drive me crazy, you know. And I said, oh no, that's John. He's calling now. It's 11 o'clock. I gotta sleep. I can't answer the phone. And it was him. And in those days there were no caller ID because we had phones. There were no cell phones.
Yeah, right.
And the caller ID didn't exist. But I said, I know that's him. So I'm gonna lay low. I'm not gonna answer the phone and talk to John right now. But I worked with those guys for many years, and with Chevy and all of them, every single one of them. And
by the way, just to jump in here, I'm starting to write my memoirs.
Ah, I was going to ask you that, Ray.
It's the height of all optimism for anybody to start writing memoirs at age 99, but I figured,
Wow.
what the hell? But I could use some, writing is not a problem, but I need somebody to put a video together. I know what I want to do exactly. And
Did you just started doing memoirs? Just started writing your memoirs?
I've been writing stuff down through the years.
Right. And now you're putting
What-
it together.
Yeah, which is next to impossible. I
Yeah.
got so much.
It'll be years of putting all this together.
Well, the good Lord said, put man, what is it, Genesis 6:3, for 120 years. So,
Right.
so I got 99. So I got a few years to go. So.
Well, I tell you, Ray, this is just what we're talking about right now is part of your life because there's a lot more to talk about.
I'm so sorry that my songs.
And we're having technical problem, and the problem is that they're not coming through in sound the way that I wanted to, and it's just this. We're having a problem. I think it's the computer that's not reading the download.
The MP3?
Yeah, it's not reading the MP3, and it's not coming through. If not, we would have heard all these 4 songs that are really short, but they are the most beautiful 4 tunes. And I tell you, I heard them all 4 like 10 times because they were so nice. And the lyrics in English, and I like the cha-cha-chas, and the mambo is so beautiful.
And my wife, I tell you, she was, we were married 59 years.
59 years.
A monument to endurance on her part.
Unbelievable.
And she sang with USO. That's how we met during the war. And
Wow.
USO was doing shows, and we met then. So we were married quite a while, and that's when I asked her later years. I said, I got a band. You got to sing with my band. She says, are you serious? I don't speak Spanish. I said, I'll teach you. She says, you're nuts. I said, no, I'm not. I'll teach you. I taught her phonetically.
Really?
She sang, typical.
Did she sing in Spanish at one
She
point?
sang, I sang in Spanish.
Yeah.
But she sang in Spanish, and I'm talking about songs like from Arsenio, what was it, the Tremendo Compan. Mama Jana, typical stuff that was very popular in Cuba. She sang perfectly in Spanish.
And phonetically correct.
Perfect.
Wow.
But you can imagine, here she is on the bandstand, and she's doing a whole set in Spanish, and a guy comes up to her and says, "Perdóname, yo tengo una petición." She say, "Un momento," and she talked to the drummer. You imagine a guy, a funny look in his eye. You imagine going somewhere in Europe and you hear somebody singing, doing jazz, which happens now. Like, like in Japan.
Well, in Japan, Orquesta del Sol,
the Sol,
Nora, when she started, singing, she at the beginning she didn't speak anything of Spanish or English, and she was singing Spanish correctly. And she was doing soñando, she was a sonera.
Right.
And you know how hard that is to do.
Oh my God, yes.
And she was doing it perfectly because she listened to all the soneros of Puerto Rico and Cuba, and she would emulate the improvisation, And then later on, of course, she learned Spanish.
Right.
Then
But
she
it's
learned how to speak
wonderful
Spanish.
how Latin music has really, really become worldwide. It's popular.
Oh yeah.
Everywhere. As you know, you played with these people.
Oh yeah. I remember Mongo Santa Maria when I first heard him.
Yeah.
And he was he was the most, I never knew he was so popular. He was the most famous most famous guy in the world. And even Mel Brooks would talk about him, in Blazing Saddles when he says Mongo Santa Maria, remember?
Yeah, Mongo and I happened to be deadheading on a plane at night with nobody on the plane. So you can imagine, we didn't sleep, neither of us.
Wow.
we talked bongo, timbale, conga drum, that when I played conga, I had to get mule skin.
Wow, wow! You know how
those
difficult
days,
that was. That was really
before
complicated.
plastics or
Of
anything
course,
like that.
and they, like you said, they had no tuning lugs.
No.
You know,
Yeah,
so,
I had to soak it
and
and
stretch it.
You had to
Oh.
get somebody else to help you stretch it over the drum
Oh,
so you can nail
God.
it, And then when I had my first bongo, when I was a kid in high school, I used to heat it up with sterno, so the.
Of course.
would be
Yeah,
tight.
yeah.
But then I was doing that on my breaks, and I figured that's no good. So I built 2 light bulbs on a piece of wood. So I put the bongo on that so I could go chase the girls. That was sitting there with sterno, and these pretty girls are around, so that was it. But
Do
then
you
when
still have those drums? Do you still have some of those drums, the old drums?
I still have the last ones that I bought in Cuba at View de Carrera was $35, was a fortune. And I still got them somewhere in the house.
Those drums are from the 50s, right?
No, I bought that in 46.
Oh my God, that was before I was born.
Yeah, the caoba, it's
Yeah, a caoba.
yeah.
Yeah,
And,
a very, very thick wood.
Oh yeah, and those are the ones. But before that, I was using bongos that the bass player, who was a carpenter, made. He made 2 sort of mini bongos that I was playing with. In the photos, you see the ones of me
Yeah,
behind the
yeah,
bar.
Yeah.
With those little.
Those were I call them the Miguelito Valdez specials.
Oh God.
Yeah, because that comes from that era
Yeah, right.
of the Miguelito
Oh,
Valdez.
he was my idol.
Yes, well.
That's when Cugat, was not as commercial as it became later.
Right.
And that's when I first heard
Mhm.
Luca Maniwa, because
Right.
the Valdez doing it.
Yeah,
And,
that was Benny
Lina-
Moré at that time.
Lina Romai was with the orchestra. And,
Yeah.
I
And
tell
Benny
you.
Moré was at that time,
Yeah.
Right.
And
Right there. Miguelito Valdez, Benny
big
Moré.
star. I don't know if we got a minute.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, we were 4 days on a honeymoon, my wife and I, at the Nacional in Cuba. And according, that was so great. I remember walking at night, we were walking, and I hear music. I said, wait a minute, that's not recorded music, that's live. I walk down, and it's Radio Progreso.
Ooh.
And I look at the door, it's packed, people are standing all around inside, and there's Sonora Matancera,
Oh my God, the original.
the original
Oh
Cajito,
my God. Yeah, of course.
And I said, oh my God, we gotta go in. So the guy at the door says, in Spanish, there's no room. So I played the honeymoon, and that I'm not Latin, and we're here on a honeymoon, and he would say, un momento, and he'd go, and he came back like a minute later and beckoned me to come on.
Oh
He
my
had 2 people, we had 2 seats in front. He had a couple get up and give us their seats. And unfortunately, Celia Cruz wasn't there, it was Mirta Silva.
Milta Silva from Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
She had that show Tiri Tapate, which was very famous.
Yeah.
So wow, the presence of Milta Silva.
Yeah, Celia I know she was doing something,
Yes, I remember
Well,
Milta
listen.
Silva when I was a child.
Yeah, so a lot of name dropping here.
Yes. Ray, we just basically, we could go on for the next and the next show.
Yeah, you're gonna have me next week, and the week after, and the week after.
Oh, we're gonna have a ball talking more, because then I'll be prepared to play more music and have it prepared.
Yeah, I love you, man.
I love you, Ray. I thank you profusely for coming here on the show with your lovely daughter and talking to the people about your life. And there is a documentary on you, right? Right now.
Well,
Is there?
there's a documentary that was done called "The Story of Ray Mambo."
Right.
It's 8 minutes. It's a shorty.
But it's something that people can actually,
They can see it. If
grip
they-
their hands on for a moment.
If they search, for Ray Mambo, I think they'll be able to find it on the internet.
Yes. Well, check it out, everyone. This is Sammy Figueroa talking to Ray Mambo Baumel here on the Sammy Figueroa Show. Everyone's leave it right where it is. The Latin Jazz Quarter is coming up with Carrie Alexander. The music continues here 24/7 in WDNA. Carrie is coming on. And thank you, everyone. Ray Mambo, again, Baumel. Check him out. Read about him. You know, he is one of the living legends, a stamp in Florida. He has put us on the map with his talent, his beauty, and his heart and soul. The great Ray Baumel right here on Sammy Figueroa Show. Thank you, Ray. God bless you, man.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And again, here, BBC News coming up right now at the top of the hour. It's 12 o'clock noon right now, and the time is going by, and we're getting ready to do this right now. Thank you, everyone. Sammy Figueroa signing out. I'll see you all later on my next show next week, and I have a great show for you, so check it out. Okay, everyone? Bye-bye. Ay, Ray.
Perfect timing. You're tuned to WDNA, public radio.